Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back. I'm going to restart that because I don't like that intro. Hi, baby girl, and welcome back to the Source Diva. God, I keep wanting to say Source Diva Boot Camp. It's so funny. Source Diva Podcast. Hello, baby. Hello. Hi. How are you? Mr. Sir, paid actor. I have other Mr. Sir over here. Baby boy king. They just like joining in for these podcasts. Also, too, my cats love sitting on the top layer of my couch, so it gets really sunken in. I don't know what that's about. We're going to just keep going with it. Anyways, long story short, I have a great podcast episode for you today. As always, getting into some things. I'm just making sure my mic is on. And I am really excited to go ahead and dive into it. So let's go ahead and begin. So I was talking to someone, and the first thing that because here's the thing. Okay, let me backtrack. Shit happens in life, okay? Things happen in life. You get dealt one reflection, which reflections essentially are like when something happens to you, it either triggers you, it's a situation or circumstance, a way someone acts towards you, and it is literally just a reflection of how you're treating yourself in one or more of the 8 areas of life. Like you are actively treating yourself that way, okay? However, someone acts towards you and you get triggered, you get upset about it, it is literally because you are acting that way towards yourself. Same thing if a situation happens to you. Let's say your tire gets a nail in it, which has happened to me twice in the same tire, okay? Same reflection as well. Like I'm being some type of way towards myself where literally my physical world has to now reflect that back to me so I can see it. And this is a great thing. We love reflections because if you don't get reflections, if you're not even looking at the things with your intuition, one, you wouldn't understand what it's trying to show you. You're always just going to feel like the victim towards everything. That's a very dark force mindset programming to make you think that you're the victim to everything and nothing could ever absolutely be in your control in that sense. Like that is a complete fucking utter lie, which is also the most painful thing to really sit with because that means you really have to take accountability for absolutely everything. But anything that happens in your life, like it is a reflection of what you have going on within yourself and how you are not treating yourself or how you're acting towards yourself, whether it's a negative way or if it's a good way, right? So this is also in the other sense, like if you always feel like you're super lucky, things always go your way, it's because you're already like feeling like that and acting towards yourself in that aspect in a different area of life or just like in multiple areas of life where you have the perfect combination of emotional things going on within you, energetic things going on within you, the perfect subconscious beliefs going on within you, where you can actually hold such a fulfilled layer of capacity inside of you that those things happen to you, okay? But it's the same thing in the negative sense that, like, if you have a bunch of holes in your energy, if you have a bunch of holes in the way that you think and the way that you're doing things, if you have certain perceptions of yourself, certain subconscious beliefs of yourself, eventually, and this is always going to happen, it is going to be created in physical reality, okay? Always going to freaking happen. And it's also the most annoying thing, but also the most helpful thing when it's on the negative side. Because obviously, if it's on the positive side, you're like, oh, this is great. I love this. But if it's on the negative side, we cry about it because it's uncomfortable. Okay. I cry about it because it's uncomfortable. But we still deal with it and we still go through the things. Okay. I have to lift up my tube top bra that I have underneath this. So that being said, I was talking to someone and they were like telling me these things of these reflections that they've been getting. And it wasn't even like a little one. Like it was this huge thing of like now it blew up in their face essentially. And this is the thing too about reflections. So if you and external life circumstances, it's almost like you will get multiple layers of like what do I want to call this? Like breadcrumbs. There you go. That's a good one. You'll get multiple layers of breadcrumb pieces that are showing you the way that you're acting towards yourself and how it's not in alignment with the most healed version of you, your highest self, and not the most in alignment with God and with Source and the way that God, Source, your higher self, views you and how you actually can be if you do the hard work to get there. Okay. And it will be little cookie crumbles. Like one thing will happen over here, and then another thing will happen over here. You stub your toe, you break your nail, you get a nail in your tire, you get a random like fee in your bank account, like just little tiny things, little tiny things. And then it keeps building, it keeps building. If you keep rejecting it, ignoring it, not addressing it, it then becomes this huge thing where it literally blows up in your face so bad. It makes you feel so low where you're like, oh my God, I cannot take this shit anymore. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm tired of this. I do not want to deal with this ever again. Something has to change because you're sick of it, okay? Perfect example is me, which I did not realize this, obviously, of course, because I was younger, but it was the pivoting point for me, which had led me to where I am now and like all the rabbit holes that we are into now, okay? So, for example, for me, when I was younger, you guys know that I used to self-harm. I was suicidal, depressed, all the things. I'm like losing my voice this morning, but I promise you I'm fine. So, and it was all like these little tiny things. Like I was doing this to myself, or like someone would act like this to me and I would get super triggered, and then I would act like this in response, like very reactive and like extreme highs and lows where I'm like, one good thing happens, a bad thing happens, one thing good happens, and then another bad thing happens. And when something bad happened, I would take it to the extreme because I already had low self-image and a low mindset. But it was like literally any tiny little thing. I'm like bawling on the floor, crying, self-harming, like all the fucking things because I could not take it. And then it got to the point where I was so sick of it because, like, after several attempts to off myself that never worked, one which literally was like me at school had, you guys, this is a dark fucking story, but just to show you the type of, like, if you don't think I haven't been through some shit, and I'm not even saying that to like make it proof, but just for the storyline, the timeline, like, there has literally been a time where I had like overdosed on pills that I knew that I was allergic to, okay? And I overdosed on them before I went to school. Mind you, I'm like 11 or 12 at this time. I get super sick, run to the bathroom. I'm fucking puking. I'm puking. I have a fever of like 107. And you know what ends up happening? At the time, I had a stepdad. He comes to get me and he literally was like, "You're making this up. Like, you're making this up." I get home and my mom's like screaming at me, yelling at me, "Oh, you're fucking making it up." That day, you want to know what happened that day? I tried again. Yeah, that's what I did that day. And of course, did not work. Woke up the next morning just depressed and sad because I was like, damn, didn't work. Thank God it didn't, right? But at the same time, it was that for years and years and years until the point where I was 14 and I was like, I'm done. Like, I am done. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't even off myself. I'm so fucking tired of this shit and I'm so sick of it. I do not want to deal with this anymore because it blew up in my face. It blew up in my face multiple times. I kept getting all the little tiny things. Obviously, I was not in the capacity. And this was part of like my soul plan too, to have this like really rough, disgusting childhood. But I wasn't in the capacity to understand anything about reflections, about intuition, about how you can, hold yourself with God, with Source. And it wasn't until I was 14 where I was sick and fucking tired of it. And I was the one that was like, okay, no more, I'm done. I'm changing this shit. This is the last fucking time I'm going to go through shit like this. And that was like the beginning of a lot of rabbit holes for me. So, that being said, I'm saying this all because you will be fed breadcrumbs, okay? You will be fed breadcrumbs. You will be fed breadcrumbs upon breadcrumbs upon breadcrumbs. If you see yourself and you will be honest with yourself, you have like, just analyze your life because I'm very like, it's funny. I love using intuition. I'm also a highly emotional person. I'm a crybaby, like certified. We have Source Diva over here because the way that I can have an attitude, it's sharp. Okay. We love it. We love it. We love it. And we try to balance it out with Source and with God. That's the whole intention of this. But if you analyze your life and you look at it like, okay, think about the last time you were sad. How did you react? Think about the last time you were happy. How did you react? What was that space in between, and what was happening in between? Like, was it little things where you, cut your hand on something? Was it something big where you accidentally hit a car and get into a car accident? Like, you don't know. You don't know. But you have to look and reflect. You have to look and see, because a lot of the times we don't think that any of these things mean anything, but they're all little tiny things that are building up, the breadcrumbs, before it literally blows up in your face to the point where now it's like the worst out of the worst out of the worst. Like, car repossessed. You are feeling like shit. No one's saving you. No one's even reaching out to you to check up if you're okay. Like, you have your parents screaming at you on one end, and then on the other end your boyfriend just broke up with you, and then on the other end you're going to be homeless because you can't even pay your rent because you got laid off. Like, everything all at once blowing up in your face. We don't want that. We don't want that. Okay. And if you're here, it's because intuition is the number one way to help you do these things. Obviously, of course, as well, the way that you can hold yourself and become neutral of your emotions is the fastest way to use your intuition as well. Because when you have these emotional highs and lows where a lot of things happen and you take it to the extreme, like I used to, that's when it becomes like you're not even giving yourself the chance or the opportunity or the space to look at it intuitively to see what's going on. So you really have to take a step back. My intuitive mentor is always like, put yourself in timeout. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta go in timeout, because timeout is essentially, you know what timeout is, right? Like, you are quiet, you cannot say anything, you're staring at a blank wall, and you can't speak, you can't move, you can't do nothing. You're just sitting there. Okay. That's timeout. Like, you have to look at things from a distance in silence with like no emotions, right? And like try to be as baseline as possible so you can actually use your intuition, because your intuition isn't going to be this huge emotional peak of things, okay? And it's very different between like survival instincts as well, like very different thing, okay? They're connected, actually. I'm sorry, because I'm confirming right now with intuition. They're connected, but it's not the same thing. Like same, but not the same. Um, but yes, so basically, take a step back, backtrack, go back to the drawing board is what I like to say, because the drawing board is literally your life, where you are looking at the pieces. You really want to become very aware of how you're holding yourself during certain circumstances, and where it makes like where you can connect the dots of things, and then like what's the overall theme. Okay, we talk about this a lot inside of Source Diva class, okay? Because there's so many different pieces that come into this. Even in that class, it's a 4-part series. It's 2 hours long of a workshop, but I've divided it into 4 pieces. So 30 minutes each of each part, because it's a lot of information and you have to understand and like start experimenting with those pieces in order to be able to understand the bigger concepts, the more, longevity concepts within Source Diva Bootcamp. Okay. And all of these things, like anytime you hear me talk about any of these things, it's not something overnight. Like, this is years and years and years and years. Like, even the past 2 years ago, when I first really started getting into this rabbit hole of work where I am now, where I wouldn't call myself spiritual, I wouldn't call myself religious. I'm just saying, like, this era is essentially Source Diva era, because she's in alignment with God and with Source and with her intuition. And if it's spiritual or if it's religious and it's fully in alignment with God and Source, that's what I will resonate with, which is essentially the ultimate truth of God. That's all I really care about. I don't care about any fucking concept that is watered down, distorted. We talked about this in a previous podcast episode. But that being said, anytime I talk about these things, these are things that you will hold for the rest of your life. Like, it's not an overnight thing. It's not a thing that will, like it's now truly, I would say, where I am now. Even these past 6 months have been like drastic in changes, especially too when I started working with my intuitive mentor, and she really helped me advance the way that I was perceiving things as well. But even in that sense, like, you have to think that this isn't something that's going to be like quick and easy. Like, I don't want to ever give anyone that impression that this is something easy, something fast, something quick. Like, yes, you can speed up timelines, whereas it might have taken you 20 years before of you with extreme highs and lows, feeling like fucking shit, for you to reach those goals. We can condense it to maybe 5 years or less. Okay. Like 6 years. Yeah. 6 years is actually what I'm getting from intuitively. Like, if it was a 20-year something, goal that in your plan with your higher self, if you never fucking take any accountability, it would have taken you 20 years to get there. If you fully take accountability, it would take you 6. Yes, we are going to take 6 years over fucking 20 years. Okay. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. Same thing with myself. And that's literally what I remind myself of daily. This is the long game. We don't want to build things off of fucking hay. Okay. Off of twigs, right? We want solid concrete foundations. That means solid concrete foundations. You have to lay down some really, really, really thick 2C's groundwork. All right, my loves, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I will talk to you soon. All the links are in the description box below for Instagram, Source Diva class. And I also have a link there for mini intuitive reads. These are very, very tiny because God, if I were to give you guys like a full intuitive reading right now and you don't take accountability for it, like that's going to push you back so hard. Nope. All right. Love you. Besitos. I will talk to you later. Bye.